There's this belief that holding on tighter is a sign of love, loyalty, or effort. But ironically, the woman who walks away often becomes the one a man can't stop thinking about. But why? Why do we, as men, seem to chase what moves away from us while taking for granted what stays close? I'm Vernon, and today I want to reveal with you 5 profound reasons why men, especially those of us with enough life experience to recognize real value, fall harder for women who have the wisdom and strength to let them go. If you've ever wondered why some relationships grow stronger through separation, or why independence seems to create deeper intimacy, then what I'm about to share will change how you see love itself. Before we dive into these powerful insights, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos that explore the deeper truths of love and relationships. Let's jump into the first reason why letting go can create more desire. Reason number 1 is the psychology of space and desire. There's something René Descartes once wrote that has stayed with me for decades. In order to solve this problem, we must make it our business not to will too much. He was speaking about philosophy, but I've found it applies beautifully to matters of the heart. When I think about the couples I've known who've maintained passion well into their later years, there's always been this element of breathing room. My friend Margaret, who lives 3 houses down, married her husband Thomas when they were both 58, second marriages for both. What struck me about their courtship was how Margaret would frequently take weekend trips alone, pursue her pottery classes, maintain her own social circle. Thomas confided in me once, "Vernon, I never knew I could miss someone so much who I saw just 3 days ago." That absence, that space, had created a longing in him that constant presence never could. When someone chooses to be with you, not because they feel obligated or it's just a habit, but because they genuinely want to, the emotional investment runs infinitely deeper. This is the kind of connection that isn't built on routine or comfort, but on a true active decision to be present. When a person freely decides to stay by your side, it shows their genuine commitment and desire, not just a sense of duty. This kind of choice fosters a connection that is much stronger, more meaningful, and ultimately more fulfilling. The woman who lets a man go is essentially saying, "I love you enough to trust that if we're meant to be together, we will be. And if we're not, we both deserve to discover that truth." This isn't about giving up or walking away in defeat. It's about a deep trust in both yourself and the relationship. By letting go, she shows she values the freedom and authenticity of their connection more than holding on out of fear or insecurity. This takes enormous courage because it requires the strength to let go of control and allow the natural course of love to unfold. It's the courage to face uncertainty and risk the possibility that things may not work out, yet still choosing to believe that if it's meant to be, it will be. And this courage, this willingness to release attachment to outcomes, is what captivates a man's heart. Because in a world where people often hold on too tightly, a woman who can choose to let go with confidence and grace becomes irresistible. She isn't chasing validation or clinging to the relationship. Instead, she's choosing to let love come naturally, which is deeply attractive to any man who truly values emotional maturity. Think about your own experience. When have you felt most drawn to someone? Was it when they were always available, or when their absence made you realize how much they meant to you? And it's this kind of deep, fearless love that sets the stage for the next crucial truth about attraction. Because sometimes it's not just about letting go, it's about how you reconnect in the most unexpected ways. Reason number 2: independence as magnetic force. It's not just about having your own career or hobbies. It's about having a sense of self that is rooted in your own identity, separate from the relationship you're in. When a woman is independent, she radiates a quiet confidence that draws people towards her, particularly men who recognize the strength that comes with self-sufficiency. Independence isn't about being distant or emotionally unavailable. It's about having a life and passions that exist outside of the relationship. It's about being fulfilled on your own terms, without needing constant validation from anyone, including your partner. When a woman can stand confidently in her own power, men are drawn to her because they feel she is someone who can stand beside them, not behind them. This sense of independence is magnetic because it creates a feeling of mystery and challenge. Men are wired to chase what feels elusive, and when a woman has her own life, her own goals, and her own sense of purpose, she becomes intriguing and irresistible. She is not constantly available or seeking approval. She is busy living her life and thriving. Lao Tzu wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "The sage does not attempt anything very big, and thus achieves greatness." I've come to understand this applies to relationships in the most beautiful way. The woman who doesn't attempt to capture a man completely often captures him most completely. When we were younger, many of us mistook possession for love, control for care. But at our age, we understand that the most magnetic force in the universe is someone who has found peace within themselves. Studies from the Harvard Study of Adult Development, which has followed people for over 80 years, show that the happiest couples are those where both partners maintain strong individual identities. The woman who lets a man go is demonstrating exactly this. She has an identity that exists independently of the relationship. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. Like my former wife was warm, engaged, passionate about life, but she was these things for herself first and shared them with others second. This sequence, self-love first, then sharing, creates an irresistible energy. So what does independence look like for you in a relationship? How do you balance your personal goals and being emotionally available? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how independence plays a role in attraction. If you're wondering how to cultivate this magnetic independence, I'll share another practical approach in just a moment. But first, we need to understand how these first two principles connect to create something even more powerful. Reason number 3: the security paradox. As I promise, the beauty of independence is that it gives the relationship space to breathe. When both partners have their own identities and passions, they are more likely to appreciate each other for who they truly are, instead of relying on each other to fill gaps of self-worth. This leads to a healthier, stronger dynamic where both people contribute to the relationship out of choice, not necessity. So, how can you cultivate this magnetic independence? First, invest in your own passions and hobbies, whether it's pursuing a career, learning new skills, or nurturing friendships. This not only keeps you fulfilled, but also makes you more intriguing to others. Second, maintain your own sense of identity within the relationship. Don't lose yourself in it. Having your own goals and dreams outside of the relationship allows both partners to grow together while still being individuals. Lastly, embrace your own space. Don't feel guilty about taking time for yourself. When you feel confident and complete on your own, you naturally become more attractive and can build a healthier, more dynamic connection with your partner. After observing relationships for 6 decades, I've noticed that the men who fall hardest for women who let them go are often the ones who have finally learned the difference between security and imprisonment. When we were young, many of us confused holding tight with holding dear. We thought that if someone could walk away, it meant they didn't truly love us. We believed that love meant clinging and holding on tightly, as if that was the way to keep someone close. But here's what I've learned, and this is the insight that completely shifted my perspective. True security in love comes not from trying to prevent someone from leaving, but from becoming the kind of person they would choose to stay with, time and time again. This realization changed everything for me. It's not about creating dependency or fearing abandonment. It's about knowing that love should be chosen every day, freely and without constraint. The real power in love lies in confidence, the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you are enough exactly as you are, without needing to constantly prove it. When you can be that person who doesn't just try to hold on, but instead creates an environment where someone chooses to stay because they want to, that's where true emotional security lies. This shift in perspective helped me understand that love isn't about holding on tighter, but about giving space and trust to let love grow freely with mutual respect and unconditional choice. My own marriage lasted 38 years before my dear wife divorced me. But I'll be honest with you, the first 20 years I spent considerable energy trying to be indispensable, irreplaceable. I thought that I could just be needed enough, love would be guaranteed. What I didn't understand then is that need and love, while they can coexist, are entirely different forces. The woman who lets a man go is offering him the gift of choice, the opportunity to love freely rather than from obligation. So far, we've talked about space creating desire and independence being magnetic. We've explored how true security comes from choice rather than constraint. These principles work together to create a foundation where real love can flourish. But there's something even deeper happening when a woman has the wisdom to step back. Reason number 4. The mirror of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." I believe this applies beautifully to relationships. The woman who can let go is someone who has learned to find her worth within herself, not in another person's attention or validation. When a woman lets a man go, she's demonstrating the highest form of self-respect. It's not about walking away out of anger or frustration. It's about recognizing her own worth and saying, "I love myself too much to accept anything less than mutual devotion." She's acknowledging that her love, her time, and her emotional energy are valuable, and that she won't settle for anything less than a relationship built on mutual respect and commitment. This level of self-respect is incredibly attractive, especially to men who have reached emotional maturity. It signals that she knows who she is and what she deserves, and that's magnetic. It shows that she doesn't need a relationship to feel complete. She chooses to be in it because it adds to her life, not because she's afraid of being alone. Men who are emotionally mature, and let's be honest, this doesn't always happen until we're in our 50s or 60s, are drawn to this kind of strength because it's rare. It speaks to a deep level of emotional security that we can't help but admire. Dr. John Gottman's research shows that relationships work best when both partners have what he calls high self-regard. The woman who can walk away has mastered this principle. She serves as inspiration for the man to rise to his best self, rather than settling for whatever version of himself feels convenient. The man falls harder when he knows he's lost something rare, and rare isn't the woman who gives endlessly and asks for nothing. Rare is the woman who knows when enough is enough, who can love deeply but still walk away when love isn't being honored, who doesn't chase but invites, who doesn't beg but believes in herself. And trust me, that moment he realizes you're no longer checking for him, no longer waiting for the text, no longer secretly hoping, that's when he starts checking for you. Not because you tricked him, but because you showed him that your love is a privilege, not a guarantee. You reminded him without saying a word that the moment he stopped choosing you was the moment you started choosing yourself. There's also something deeply practical here. When you respect yourself enough to let go of what isn't serving you, you create space for what will truly nourish your soul. This isn't just relationship advice, it's life wisdom. Do you agree that self-respect is the foundation of a healthy relationship? Share your perspective in the comment. Don't forget to hit the like button and share it with someone who might benefit from this insight. Reason number 5. The recognition of true value. When a woman knows her worth and no longer seeks validation from external sources, she becomes irresistible. The woman who has self-awareness and self-respect is the woman who attracts attention for all the right reasons. She doesn't chase love or approval because she's already complete and secure in who she is. And when a man recognizes this, it creates a magnetic pull towards her, a sense of admiration that goes beyond surface-level attraction. True value is not about being perfect or meeting someone else's expectations. It's about owning your strengths, embracing your flaws, and being unapologetically yourself. When a woman can stand in her truth and confidently express her needs, desires, and boundaries, she sends a message that says, "I am worthy of the best, and I won't settle for less." The woman who lets a man go is offering him the ultimate education in value. She's saying, without words, this is what you're choosing not to fight for. This is what you're deciding isn't worth your effort. When she lets go, she's not just walking away from the relationship. She's showing him the true cost of taking her for granted. It's a powerful lesson in the reality that when someone doesn't appreciate you, they're not only losing your love, they're losing the chance to share in the richness of what you bring to the table. This isn't an ultimatum, it's a clear reflection of self-worth. By walking away, she's demonstrating that she won't chase after anyone who isn't willing to meet her at her level. She's teaching him that love isn't about control or dependence. It's about mutual respect, effort, and commitment. And the painful truth is, when you don't fight for something valuable, you risk losing it forever.
This recognition of value often comes too late in life for it to be recovered. But for the fortunate men who recognize it in time, the love that follows is deeper than anything they experienced in their youth. Aristotle spoke of different types of love: eros, philia, and agape. The man who learns to value a woman through her willingness to let him go often discovers agape, the selfless, enduring love that transcends physical attraction and even deep friendship. This kind of recognition of true value is something men often don't fully appreciate until they see what they've lost. When a man loses someone who recognizes their own worth, someone who has the strength to walk away when love isn't being reciprocated, he often realizes too late how rare and precious that person truly was. And that is when men start to fall the hardest, when they realize they had someone who was not just valuable to them, but someone who valued themselves deeply. Never underestimate the power of demonstrating your own worth through action rather than argument. The woman who says, "I deserve better," with her feet, not just her words, teaches the world how to value her.
As I reflect on these 5 principles, the psychology of space, the magnetism of independence, the security found in choice, the mirror of self-respect, and the education in true value, I'm struck by how they all point to the same deeper truth. Real love requires 2 complete people choosing each other freely. The woman who has the wisdom to let a man go isn't playing a game or using manipulation. She's demonstrating the highest form of love. Love that says, "I want you to choose me because of who I am, not because you feel trapped by obligation or habit." At our age, we've learned that life is precious and time is limited. We can afford to waste neither on relationships that diminish us, nor on love that feels more like settling than soaring. If you're a woman watching this, remember, your willingness to walk away from what doesn't serve you isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. And if you're a man, consider this. The women in your life who maintain their independence, who have interests and passions beyond your relationship, who won't lose themselves to love you, these women are offering you the greatest gift possible. They're offering you the chance to choose love rather than simply fall into it. What we hold lightly often stays longest in our hands. What we grasp too tightly often slips through our fingers. I'd love to hear your own stories and observations in the comments below. In addition, like this video, share it with someone who might benefit, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insightful content like this. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thank you for joining me in these reflections. Remember, it's never too late to choose love over settling, dignity over desperation, wisdom over wishful thinking.